have just returned from a long vacation that I forgot to announce anywhere that I was going on. Oops. Anyway, I am back with a brand spanking new video and a lot of iconic art styles to do. I've previously had loads of fun taking my OC Diabolosa against her will and turned her into different adaptations of iconic art styles. Good times. She's definitely going to need a raise after today, I swear. Anyway, I've also brought something new and rather interesting to the table today. Come over here, I'll show you. This is the brand new ProArt pen display tablet from ASUS, which I'll be using in today's video to recreate those iconic art styles. With its 15.6 inches, 4K UHD IPS panel and 10-point multi-touch support, a strong competitor has just entered the market of drawing tablets. The stylus is the brand new ProArt pen, and it differs from ASUS's previous pens because it uses Wacom's EMR technology, which makes this tablet ASUS's first tablet designed specifically with digital artists in mind. It comes with two inbuilt kickback stands and a bag to carry it with you in. It also has an inbuilt dial that you can customize and use for multiple purposes, loads of monitor settings to adjust to your specific preferences, and it can be connected either with USB-C only or a USB-C and HDMI combi. At this moment I would not have been able to invest the time to do this video if not for ASUS, so thanks a lot to the kind people at ASUS for sponsoring this video and for letting me try out their brand new drawing tablet at the same time. I'll give you a tour and share my thoughts and opinions on the tablet a little later in this video, so let's jump straight into it and get started. And as tradition dictates, we are going to start with my own current style, and then I'll briefly compare it to the two previous versions before finally jumping into the first iconic art style. So, recently I have started using more soft and loose brushes to sketch with. Previously I would have used the same brush for sketching as lining, and although I still do that sometimes, I have really started enjoying exploring brushes with more sketchy looks for my sketches. For the initial coloring, I still use a mix of the fill tool and manual painting with a hard brush. Sometimes I do plan the colors ahead of time, especially if I'm working from a thumbnail I made, but honestly most of the time I don't think too hard about adding the correct colors right away. Instead I keep my color layers structured and separated in the layers panel, and then I use the hue, saturation, brightness sliders to adjust the colors later on. And lately I actually think my style has become a bit more expressive or cartoony, if you will, comic friendly maybe, both in terms of technique and the look itself. This year I've been very inspired by cartoony / anime stylized art that mixes semi-realistic rendering with especially line work. So that's the kind of thing I'm exploring at the moment, if that makes sense. And I still really like visible line art, so I decided not to over-render this drawing so much and keep the more comic-inspired look as well. And here is my style from 2019, 2020 and my current art style. When I kind of look back at the two previous versions and the new one, I'm really happy to see that I have actually technically and style-wise improved, and I haven't just been gaslighting myself. Diabolosa's design didn't really change much over the course of the years, but I suppose she's just pretty the way that she is. So now it's time to move on to our first new art style. I hope you're all familiar with Winx Club. I used to watch this show when I was younger. This was before streaming services existed, mind you, so you weren't always sure that you would be able to actually watch the next episode. I never really watched this show from start to end because of that. So I watched it mostly in pieces, and honestly I was confused AF about the story most of the time, but I think that designs were pretty cute. And like usual, we are designing Diabolosa as one of the bad guys. I have to admit that the story of this series is so far back in my head by now that I don't really remember what the bad guys were doing at all. But I think it would suit Diabolosa to be a demon sorceress of some kind, ready to fight the main gang. The Winx style was pretty easy to adapt to. I was kind of looking at 5 or 8 references from the show and picked and chose features and combined them into the look that I wanted for my character. One of the keys to adapting to another art style, in my opinion, is to look at how they do stuff like line art. Try to mimic the sort of line weight, smoothness, and the colors of the lines. Where are the lines black? Where are they colored? Are the lines the same width all over, or do the lines vary in size? Small details, but they make all the difference. In my opinion, an art style is not just about how it looks, it's also about the techniques and the tools used to achieve that look. So try to think about combining looks and techniques in order to successfully adapt to an existing style. Now let's wrap up with some shadows and highlights, and here's the result of the Winx Club style. The next style I'm going to do is also from my youth. It's from a TV show I also really enjoyed watching and that I watched a little bit more than Winx Club. Let's give it up for Danny Phantom. Considering the internet scandal that went on with this show's creator, let's just try and focus on the art mainly here. So let's create a villain worthy of fighting Danny Phantom. I'm once again stealing the likeness from multiple reference pictures from the show. Once again, I regret to admit that I don't really remember the story in the show anymore. I only remember really enjoying it and thinking the style was awesome. So if you hardcore Danny Phantom fans out there have any suggestions to what kind of villainous character Diabolos would be in this universe, then I am all ears. The Danny Phantom line art style has this very clean, almost vectorized look, so I turned the smoothing on my brush way up and tried to add the full pressure into every stroke to try and mimic that clean line art look. Luckily, the colors are super easy to add here because the look is so simplistic, I just used the magic of the fill tool. Afterwards, I'm analyzing where the line art will be colored and where to keep it black. Additionally, I'm adding highlights in the same way that I did in the series, typically around the edge of the highlighted areas. And with the iconic thick black outline added as icing on the cake, we have successfully copied the Danny Phantom style onto my character. And here is the result. Next up is the insanely well-known style of South Park. What else can I say? It's South Park. I want to design Diabolosa as an adult character from the show because it makes more sense in terms of her being a villain character. I don't know exactly what her powers would be. Probably something like mind control, but in a really dumb way, so it only works on banana flies and for some reason also Randy Marsh. I don't know. Anyways, I'm learning that the South Park style is pretty delicate. It has to look pretty clean, but messy at the same time. The look has all of these traits from having to look like hand-drawn and hand-cut cardboard cutouts. Whoa, say that fast 10 times. There are multiple ways to go about this, but I want to add line art even though I'm going to hide it later on almost completely. It just gives me a tiny bit more control of all of these intersecting objects. I'm also half-assing the pattern on her chest and the moon crest on her medallion so it wouldn't look too neat. Now that the colors are laid down, all that's left to do is analyze the reference images and get an overall idea of where to hide and where to show the line art. And here is the final result of Diabolosa coming to wreak havoc in South Park. A new day rises, so let's continue on with the art styles. For the remaining art styles, I'm going to switch off the screen recording mode and use this camera in a top-down view instead, so you can also get a better look at the ProArt display tablet in action. Actually, I think now is also a good time for me to share some of the thoughts on the ProArt display, because I have been using it for 4 drawings now and messed around with it for a bit, so here are my thoughts so far. I think it's always interesting to see how tech manufacturers are doing when they enter a new market and try forces with designing drawing tablets. ASUS has done a really good job here, better than I had initially thought when I learned that they had created a display tablet with specific focus on digital drawing. I even compared it with my current tablet, the Wacom Cintiq Pro 16, and the experience was actually very similar. The ASUS ProArt tablet is on the smoother side though, and a bit more glass-like compared to the Cintiq. The touch support is, in my opinion, one of the key selling points here. Zooming, rotating and navigating the canvas, etc. is, in my opinion, way more intuitive when you can just use touch gestures to control it. The ProArt display is not a plug-and-play device, it does require a bit more setting up compared to other tablets that I've tried. It's due to the fact that there is no traditional tablet driver like we digital artists are used to. That also means that the features of the stylus and gesture controls are all dependent on software compatibility. If you're using Clip Studio Paint or Photoshop, that's not going to be a problem, But if you're using any software that does not give you the option to have settings for the pen or gestures, you may want to consider switching to compatible software. And you know that I will always personally recommend Clip Studio Paint. Not having a specific tablet driver also means that ASUS does not provide specific settings for the button on the stylus, except for those provided by Windows or your software. I wouldn't consider this a deal breaker though, but it does feel a bit restrictive. You do have the option to use the top of the pen as an eraser, and I absolutely can't complain about this pen's accuracy. It's pretty damn flawless even towards the outermost corners of the screen. Which is impressive because there are other manufacturers in this field that have been around for a while now that still don't get to manage this level of accuracy. Even though the ProArt pen display does not have a specific tablet driver and thus the limitations I just mentioned, it does not affect the drawing experience in any way for me. Once the tablet was set up through my Windows system's tablet and pen settings, the ProArt tablet has just worked perfectly. This tablet is fully supported on Windows, but there are currently no compatible drivers for iOS. I am sorry to my dear Mac users. The inbuilt dial out here to the left can be customized using the ProArt Creator Hub, where you can choose between multi or single function shortcuts for the dial that you can set up yourself. There is no question that this is a high quality product, and of course the price also reflects that. The ProArt display costs $899 which is just about half of the price of a Wacom Cintiq Pro 16, which is probably its closest competitor as of this moment. From the perspective of me being a content creator and a digital artist, I am really enjoying using the ProArt pen display, and I definitely consider this tablet a professional tool for artists and content creators. I don't think I would have expected a brand like ASUS, that I generally associate with just computer manufacturing or monitors, to nail the drawing experience so well, but I've got to admit, this product impresses me. And now that you know a bit more about my experience with the ProArt display, you should definitely also get to see it in action. So let's move on with some more art styles. For the next style, I'm going to take you even further back in time. In modern speech, we might call it retro or old school Marvel DC style. This more retro comic look is especially relying more on ink work compared to previous styles I've created. I'm going to share a few tips on this style specifically in a few moments, so lean back and enjoy the process. Damn, there's so much ink work! It's crazy. I know it seems bold of me to just paint all of her hair black, but this is the kind of look I'm going for, okay? Trust the process. Remember all of those ink shadings we did just before? Now we're going to use it, we're going to color them. There we go. Bam! Now we got that look that I wanted. Whoops. So without these little highlights, everything kind of just melts together, and black was really well used in the more old school comic look, so we are using these highlights to differentiate the shapes. This next style I'm going to pick is also from my youth. Surprise! I don't know why I haven't picked this style yet in any of the previous videos, because it's a TV show I really also enjoyed to watch. And if you're younger than us millennials and you haven't watched The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, I think you're missing out. Luckily for me, there is already a character in this series whose body type and clothes kind of resembles Diabolosa, so this style was pretty relaxing to create. I would imagine her to kind of appear and try to persuade Grim to use his powers under her command, and she can be quite deceptive. She would probably brainwash everyone except for Mandy, who has a tendency to just see through bullshit. Realizing this, Diabolosa would really want to adopt Mandy for the rest of the series, even going as far as kidnapping her a few times. And here is the final result. I have done a few anime specific styles in the past like Sailor Moon or Pokemon, and today I want to pick another anime series that I've been investing myself a bit into lately. It's not a series that's particularly known for its style, but more for its story, universe and characters. So I will now let Diabolosa join the League of Villains from My Hero Academia anime style. First and foremost, what is Diabolosa's quirk and her villain name? I actually had a hard time deciding on a quirk because I wanted it to resemble her, but not necessarily be canon to her character. So Diabolosa's quirk is called Illusion. She uses moon power to create illusions. The power of her quirk depends on the moon's current phase, so the closer it is to being full, the more powerful her illusions will be. Additionally, during blood moons, she can also turn into a beast. As a little side quirk, she can also communicate with birds of the corvid family, and her villain name is the Raven Queen. Diabolosa is ready to fight Deku and all of his friends with her illusion powers. Here is the result. Alright, for our last art style of today, I have decided to go with the iconic style of the Telltale games. Even the overall Telltale game style will differ a bit from game to game. I've decided to go with The Wolf Among Us because I think that's the universe where Diabolosa would simply just fit in the best. So let's get cracking on the last style, shall we? Okay, I am low-key just looking forward to the release of The Wolf Among Us 2, so I'm hyping myself up here going with this style today. And also I just kind of want to be able to imagine Diabolosa kicking Big B Wolf's butt. I honestly thought that the Telltale game style would be pretty straightforward, but I am realizing that there is a very fine line between that sketchy and muddy look and the controlled strokes and shading. It was actually harder than I thought it would be, especially the hair, but in the end I think the result got pretty close. And this also wraps up the entire style challenge. Here is the final lineup from this video. I really enjoy these style challenges and I can't recommend it enough to go and try it out for yourself because you learn a lot while studying other styles, and I always end up picking up something from other styles and incorporate them into my own. And once again, thanks to the amazing people at ASUS who made this video possible, and also for letting me try out their brand new drawing tablet. I can easily see ASUS as a strong competitor on the market for drawing tablets, so I really hope they plan to continue making more of them in the future. I for one am excited to see what they will do next. If you want to check it out for yourself, just follow the links in the description below. And let me know in the comments which art style was your favorite today, or which styles you think I should do next time. If you leave a like, I will know that you guys are still into this kind of art style challenges and that you want me to continue making them in the future. And as always, thank you so much for watching guys and supporting my channel. If you haven't already, smash the subscribe button and ring the ding dong to get notified of my future uploads. Until next time guys, take care. Bye bye!